If you're on a spiritual path and you want to understand your relationship to money, you want to both learn how to make more of it, bring more into your business or your life, and also want to look and figure out, okay, where are my shadows around it? Where can money actually expose certain parts of me that are going to be difficult to look at? This video is for you. My spiritual path and money have always been interrelated. I quit a corporate job in 2015 after having a spiritual awakening. And so right away, I had to figure out how do I make a living and pursue something that I actually care about. And at first, I had a lot of resistance towards money. I said I didn't care about money. I didn't want to, it doesn't matter. I just want to be spiritual and meditate and I'll be provided for. And I switched that mindset pretty early on, and there were four beliefs and lessons that I've learned that have been hard worn. And I want to share them with you so that they might help you on your path. The first belief, or maybe even call it a principle, it's easier to make a lot of money in a short amount of time than a little money over a long period of time. I heard this recently from Myron Golden, and it really spoke to me. It struck a chord with the truth of my experience. There's actually been a book that speaks to this principle called 10x is easier than 2x. And it's basically saying that there are leveraged opportunities that we can find that bring in a disproportionate amount of revenue compared to the energy that we put out. And I believe that when we are more aligned in our path, we are able to find those opportunities with more ease. And one of the experiences that I had with this is that when I was working at my company, I was making $39,000 a year, working 40 hours a week. I then got a promotion and I was working 50 hours a week and making $43,000 a year. So just a little bit of raise. And it was a lot harder work. I then had these spiritual experiences, had this whole epiphany, and ended up quitting my job with no money saved, with no plans on how I was going to make money. I just jumped and I leapt into the unknown. And God had my back. I had a friend reach out to me and said, Lou, I'm sure you made a sound financial decision, but if you didn't, which I didn't, he said, let me know and I'll connect you to a friend who has this opportunity where you can work for a week out of the month and you can make a bunch of money and you can come back and you can work on the thing that you're pursuing. So that opportunity took a little while to materialize, but eventually I was able to do this job, which was mystery shopping cars at car dealerships. I made about $4,000 to $5,000 for each trip, about a week of work. And in the year after I quit my job, I made more money working a fraction of the time. It was much easier to make more money over a short amount of time than a little money over a long amount of time. One more example of this. In 2018, I was teaching yoga at studios for about $35 a class. I was teaching my own meditation workshops where people would come and donate about $10, $15. And that was not equating to a sustainable income. I still had to do that car dealership shopping job to make ends meet. And then I got an opportunity to teach teachers at a school where I got paid $2,200 for 4 hours of in person work. Obviously, there's a lot more work in preparation, but 4 hours, $2,200. It flipped a switch in me to realize that I could make that work in a way that schlepping around yoga class to yoga class, making less than minimum wage could ever work. I just had to find those opportunities. I just had to find those schools and create leverage. And that's the biggest thing that having our own business allows us to do is create leverage of our time, our effort to the amount that we can make because we're controlling and choosing how much people are paying us and we're finding our own opportunities rather than being an employee and having opportunities given to us. And so it was another example of, oh my gosh, if I can just get two of these opportunities a month, which are technically only 8 hours of work, that would be $4,400. And that would be enough for making a sustainable living. It's easier to make a lot of money in a short amount of time than a little money over a long amount of time. Number two, this is a quote from Hal Elrod. Our level of success is directly related to our level of personal development. Put in other words, we don't receive what we can't hold, what we're not ready for. Lottery winners are a prime example of this. How many times do you see someone wins the lottery, which is like getting all of this influx of energy, and then they end up not being able to hold it? It's like an electrical outlet that is 1,000 watts and you plug a 60-watt light bulb in. That is much too much energy going into that light bulb, and it's going to fry the light bulb. That's what happens to lottery winners. They haven't built the body and the awareness to hold that much energy. It burns out their system, and they often end up broke and much worse off for having won it. And so it's worth asking ourselves, how is the person we're becoming a reflection of the money that we're receiving, or vice versa? The money that we're receiving is actually a reflection of who we're becoming and what we're able to hold and the inner work that we've done on ourselves. When I quit my job, I mentioned to you that it took a while for that other job to materialize. And in the meantime, I was driving Lyft and Uber. And I had a wacky spiritual sort of experience where I made a misjudgment. I won't get into the details, but basically, I went I got on a flight and I went to go meet someone that I was going to seek mentorship from. And the problem was that person did not want to meet me. And so I made this big mistake of spending a bunch of money on a that night flight to go across the country for it to not be what it was and to feel defeated and to come back. And overall, that trip cost me $1,000. And it was $1,000 that I really did not have at that time. And so I was in a really dark, low place with this all. And I was walking with a friend in Mission Beach, San Diego, and we were walking by, and he had seen one of his friends. And so we stopped for a moment so he can talk to his friend. And his friend had mentioned to him that Lyft was doing this promotion where if you signed up another driver, you would get $1,000 per driver that you signed up. My ears perked up. Oh my gosh, I drive Lyft. I didn't see this email. I run home, get on my computer. Sure enough, the email's in promotions. I go on it. I call everyone I know and say, hey, would you do this thing? I end up getting 6 people saying, yes, they're going to do it. I get so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to make $6,000. I was elated. Sure enough, I'm not the only person that has this idea. Lyft's getting too many people signing up for this. They shut it down within the next 4 hours. Out of the 6 people that I reached out to and they said yes, only one person took the initiative and actually signed up before Lyft shut it down. They went on their rides, and I ended up getting $1,000, the exact amount that I had just spent doing this crazy thing. Even Stevens, God was like, no, Lou, you're not ready for $6,000, but we'll clear the energy. We'll give you back what you need. And it was just a example of, wow, I wasn't ready for that. And what's crazy is I've since cashed checks for 6,500. I think $11,000 was the biggest check that I've cashed for work that I've done in school and school systems. And when I've cashed those checks, there wasn't this feeling of, oh my gosh, there's not a lot of energy. And I think that's something that we need to understand about money is removing the charge, removing the trigger. So sometimes money can be a trigger for negative emotions, but it's also this trigger for like a high. We might get a lot of money and feel this elation. And I'm positing that that's actually two sides of the same coin. That money should feel like it's normal. It's because if we feel the high, we get addicted to the high or we get averse to the low. It's a very spiritual concept. It's the Buddhist concept of attachment and aversion. It's the same thing that happens with money. We're either averse to it because we don't want to deal with it because it's not feel good, or we're attached to it because we like the high. And so if you can just receive money like you receive water, you just drink a little bit of water on a daily basis, and it's just, we don't have a lot of feelings around it. So I think it's important to explore the charge that we have around money, and the way that you're going to let more money in is having less charge around it, positive or negative. Number 3, this is less of belief, just a learning, but I wanted to keep it in here. Pride about money is just as toxic as greed. In 2020, I made $55,000 in my business. In 2021, I made $105,000 in my business. That was the biggest leap I've ever done. And that's that number that people talk about where you really move into away from just surviving to having some more disposable income to being in a more thriving state. And I experienced that hugely. It was such an expansive year. And what started to happen from that is I started getting attached to that number and putting my identity in being this person who makes this number. And it didn't really get that much higher over the next few years. I know a lot of coaches say, I made $30,000 and then 100 and then 300 and then a million and then just kind of kept going on astronomically. And that's just not been my experience. I plateaued at around 100K for 4 years until this year where it's actually went down, which has broken certain beliefs I had about money. And I share this because I realize, and I really believe I'm in a lesson learning phase right now, that I realize that having that identity of I'm a six-figure coach, there's a pride to it that I was actually identifying more with this idea of who I was than with the goodness, the truth, and the beauty of really what my work and what my service is about. And as the biblical quote goes, that pride goes before the fall. It happens all the time in everywhere. You see it all around in the world, in spiritual places, in cults, in all of these places. There's a fall. And not to say that I fell from like this huge, high, but there is something with humility. What the thing about humility is it brings us down to the earth. It helps us understand. It brings us lower so we can literally stand under and see something from a new perspective. And so this year I've been humbled financially, and it's allowed me to look and see, whoa, look at your attachments that you had to this that you hadn't even realized. And I feel like my work now is in releasing those attachments so that I can then see and actually grow and actually learn how to hold more. Because remember, the one piece of our level of personal development is related to our level of success, that we receive what we can handle. And so I'm learning that how can I open up to receiving this in a new way and really using the lessons of being humbled. So be careful about being prideful about the money you have, of boasting about the money you have. I share about the money I have. I like to be transparent, but I'm not attached to it defining me. And that's where things can get sticky. And it can happen very subtly, very, very subtly. So just watch out. Watch out for pride and greed. They're different things, but watch out for it. And number four, it's not my money, it's God's money. I learned this from a beautiful organization called Wisdom and Money, and they help affluent people use their money as a vehicle for spiritual growth. And when I think of this concept of it's not my money, it's God's money, I step away from hoarding it. I step away from it being personal to me and I open up to being a steward. I open up to saying, okay, well, if this is God's money, God, how do you want me to use it? I trust that you're going to give me what I can handle. I trust that you're going to know how to direct me when I have it, when I've proven that I can hold it and manage it in a way that's responsible, in a way that you're going to want me to do and give in a way that's beneficial to the world. And so it's really also just exchanging. If I'm seeing that someone's doing God's work, I am so much more inspired to donate to them. If I feel like I'm going to invest in myself, it's going to be beneficial to my mission so I can do my work in the world, then it's just like, okay, I'm just moving God's money around to that person who's just like me, trying to make a living doing their work. And so in this, it becomes very communal. And there's just a real beautiful element to see it because at the end of the day, too, we're not going to take our money with us. And even if we create generational wealth for our kids and our children and our grandkids and all those, which we would love to do, even at some point, they're going to die. They're not going to take it with them. Eventually, it's just here. It's just in this realm. And who created this realm with this world that's spinning around a globe in this massive ball of fire? To me, uh, that's where the money's going to be. And I use the metaphor of God to name that thing. So it truly is God's money because we're all it's only here in this one realm. So I hope that's helpful to explore. Please let me know what this stirred up in you. I'd love to hear in the comments. And I encourage you to check out the description for some free resources on developing your work, creating powerful meditations, attracting clients to your work. I have a couple of free resources that I think you may resonate with. And if you want to see more content on this specific topic, please let me know. All right. Chat soon.